What's up, guys? James here, back again, and it's the end of 2023. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that. It's been a crazy year for Edison and for me personally. I mean, for one, I started this channel, so thank you all for rocking with me so far. I think I'm able to monetize it shortly. Expect some new content, and thank you guys so much for rocking with me so far. New goal, 1,000 subs. I think we can get there in no time at all. It's been pretty incredible, the amount of support that I've gotten so far. So thank you guys, seriously, so much for that. With 2023 coming to a close, I really just wanted to recap, my personal tournament results and decks I've used throughout this year, but also how I saw the meta develop as, someone who was actively playing these tournaments and paying pretty close attention to the different developments throughout. Honestly, I was able to top, I believe I did the count, 7 or 8 out of my 10 or 11 tournament entrants. I know there are a ton of tournaments going on. It might seem like I'm always online playing a lot of Edison. That is 100% true. But in all honesty, I didn't enter as many tournaments as I could have. I kind of ignore a lot of them. Also because I was playing GOAT format a lot of this year, which I'm not exactly going to cover in full detail. Yeah, I had basically a 75% top rate, which is quite good, I think. So I really want to go over, just some different deck choices I used throughout the year and why I thought they were a good fit at the time. So without further ado, there's a gap at the start of the year, a couple months. And during that time, I think I was playing a lot of cash tournaments. I was playing a lot of Christiasworn, mainly because I thought it had a good frog matchup and people weren't really prepared for the list despite the RBT rulers the past year, which was, just as a reminder, won by Fairies, Pro Storm. Second place was Indicud, who was playing a Diva Hero Beat list, early version that, I had honestly worked on a lot with him as well. So that was kind of the state of the game going into the new year. Yeah, Christiasworn I was using a lot in cash tournaments. I was playing a lot of Value Turbo. I was playing a lot of Diva Hero Beat. Those were kind of the decks that I was coming back to a lot. And for the first RBT of the year, which was the first tournament I played, I decided to bring Christiasworn, and I finished in top 4. And this would be the only RBT I entered all year outside of rulers at the end of the year. But yeah, the Christiasworn deck performed really good in the earlier portion of the tournament. And then in Top Cut, I kind of failed out, had some brick hands, but I still feel like it was a good choice. And to this day, I still feel like that's a really strong deck that probably should be utilized a little more. And that event would be won by Zombies and also mark the debut of Burn Frogs, my bad, piloted by Ronak, of course, who else. But the Burn Frog deck is really interesting. Wabagoos, Threatening Roars, a lot of golems, a lot of control spells, Turbo Cannon. I know it was a buyout on that. Really top-heavy decks like Christiasworn. Of course, I lost those brick hands, but it kind of just put me off playing those decks for a little bit. And I decided I needed to stick with something a little more stable just so I could maybe, outplay and have a little more game back and forth with people. And I believe the next tournament was locally a tournament for Starlight Black Rose. And, I'm not counting super small locals in all of this. I certainly played a handful of those throughout the year. But what's funny is I remember at the time I had actually been practicing with this Power Tool plant deck, Twilight Rose Knight and Mark of the Rose, DDR, things like this. But right before this Starlight Black Rose tournament, which is a quite expensive, big prize at the time, I just did badly at a local tournament and I was like, you know what, this just isn't it. I just need to go with something super, more standard and something that can have a good matchup against the field, and thinking that there would be a lot of Blackwing, a lot of Hero, a lot of Gladiator Beast, things like that. So I just went with Diva Hero Beat, and which definitely also wasn't the most popular Hero Beat version at this juncture, but maybe that gave me an edge, people not being super familiar with it. And I knew the deck was really strong, and I ended up winning the tournament, which was a good prize, and I think helped to popularize the deck. I know E3 did a video on it, and that was a great that was still in the first portion of the year for me. So I was pretty happy with that as I top 4 the thing, and then I did well with this DV Hero beat list, so I was psyched and riding pretty high. But I would have a little bit of a slump, as much as you can describe as a slump with honestly how good of a year I had. But after the DV Hero beat win, and I was feeling like that was a deck that I could play really well. I just had a good enough matchup across the board. But I played, I think the immediate next tournament I entered, kind of expecting to do pretty well. I just got crushed by Dragon Virus Control. I believe this was a EWCQ or a Deck Devastator or something like this. But shout out to Panna, the guy who played it, and that definitely ranks as one of my worst losses. I can have it up on the screen, I'm sure. But I just got completely smoked in that tournament, variance, whatever. But I just dropped right out of that tournament, so I didn't even want to finish. I was like, yep, I've seen enough. This is also around the time the Edison War League had started, which I've spoken on in a few prior videos. And I formed a team with my buddies and called ourselves the Bongo Boys as the team captain. And I know DV Hero Beat actually had like an 80% win rate through the first half of that season of a couple hundred people all playing different decks and testing against each other. And it still ended with a really high win rate after all of it. And I had noticed that zombies were a particularly hard matchup when I was playing Hero. And I knew that especially if people are not as good as me playing Hero, I could really take advantage of that matchup if that deck was getting really popular. So I decided to build a zombie deck combined with a tech pick I had been labbing out, Ultimate Offering. And this was really cool. I think it allowed for really big explosive plays with like Illblood and Deep Sea Diva. You could just make huge plays and people still didn't really understand exactly what the card did. You could cast them during their turn. It was honestly a really fun deck. And I figured out a lot of cool combos along the way. I first used this list at a tournament that Beast Mode had hosted. And I was able to go undefeated, taking first place. And funnily enough, that deck never really caught on the way that I thought it would. But yeah, I know I had a lot of fun using it, and a couple other people got tops with it. I know a tournament in like California. Some friends of mine were using it, Guys on the Ladder. It is a good deck and still has a lot of game to it, I think. But elsewhere in the Edison world around this time, Blackwings took a couple events in quick succession as kind of surprise of no one, including my teammate Stevie, who actually had played against a card-for-card copy of my DV Hero beat list, or maybe changing one card against a guy in the finals. A True Hero had been on a big run of topping with DV Hero, and Dragon Turbo had also taken down a couple events. Ghost Rider did well with that. Fitz also had a spicy new take on a dragon deck featuring like flips with Raikos and Debris Dragon, and so keep that in mind for later. But so things were not, stagnant at all. But things really kicked off, in my opinion, when NAWCQ hosted their first IRL Ultimate Time Wizard event. This was huge, I think, for the community. It was a huge turnout, 300 players, something like that. And just Konami actually, they had kind of teased out that they would support this, but actually showing an event and with a good prize and, a good experience for the players, I think that was huge in continuing the kind of snowball effect that Edison has had over these past 2-3 years. And it was won by my friend Matt K. I did a video with him on the channel right after his win, but my teammate, and he used kind of a trap heavier version of Vayu Turbo. But also in this tournament, you had the debut of Amaryllis Burn getting third with Nick Trudden, I believe is his name, and kind of a more streamlined version of Hero Frog from Fraser Smith. So I would say by the end of this, and this is like early summer, things had really solidified, as if it wasn't already clear, but like Blackwing, Vayu Turbo, Hero Frog, and then other decks like Hero Beat and Zombies, kind of DV Hero, kind of tier 2. And that's where we're at. And for me, personally, I think I was playing a lot of GOAT events, spring and the fall GOAT War League, GOAT GGP, top 8 in FLC with GOAT Control, which I did a video on. And I won a hat format tournament. So I was playing some of these other formats, maybe just not playing as much Edison, as well as like keeping the team together for the Edison stuff. I also started this channel, which, has to be a highlight after I finished working on E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! With Keegan. I was honestly pretty disheartened by the whole experience. And I did always enjoy making content, like that aspect of it. But but I just didn't really know what angle I wanted to come back on it with, or if people would even care. And so I think it's been a great outlet for me personally, from the first Blackwing Top video till now. And I'm so happy that I've been able to actually like monetize this and kind of keep going with it. And just thank you all for the support. It kind of took me a long time to get my ass in gear, and I know I can be flaky on certain things, but I'm really looking forward to kind of the content I'll be able to make in the new year. But with that set aside, you know, Edison World League was coming to a close around this time, and I was luckily not able to get second place for a third time. We were able to actually win, and we came into it with a super solid squad of players, you know, Phil, Ledio, Marcus, Smoker, Stevie, Matt K, Indica, just like absolute killers, all of them. And we kind of always had the goal of winning, but we had a few stumbles along the way, but we were able to take down the season, I would say, pretty handily. And I'm proud that I was able to lead, you know, the squad. And for me, the highlight had to be breaking out kind of a revised version of the Flip Dragon deck and reverse sweeping the Bucks team to keep us in the season. And you can find more about that in the video I did, of course. But yeah, that was just an awesome moment. You know, the team was cheering me on. I had to win, so it was a high pressure situation. I was able to do it with this kind of goofy deck. So, you know, that was really crazy, and I just a great moment in online Edison gaming. So, you know, moving into the fall, and this is really where it gets good, especially in the past couple months. You know, I was busy with GOAT stuff, there was GOAT Worlds, but basically the time that Edison ladder dropped, it was a wrap. You know, when Edison ladder dropped, I dropped GOAT format. So this combined with like more Time Wizard events, you know, Hero Frog won one, the Light Hero Beat deck also topped, and that was kind of cool. I know Norlaris won one in Europe, Vayu won a bunch of online tournaments. But I was kind of feeling more motivated than ever to put some time into Edison. And also the Instant Fusion Zombie deck. Can't forget that. That also did well within the past couple months. But, you know, I was a little disappointed I had missed that first Ultimate Time Wizard that Matt had won. I didn't really know what the event was going to be, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But I really made sure to go to the one in Richmond. And this would end up being my basically best performance of the year. Alongside the Starlight Black Rose first place. And we did it with a deck that was really on no one's radar, which was Fish. And it just honestly felt like a culmination of a lot of time spent for me, like from the start of the year and just the past couple of years, just labbing Edison and, you know, trolling the ladder with the Ladder God account. You know, this is all just very fun for me. And it was a really great experience at the actual tournament. And I know, like, it was just a good experience, like doing it with an original deck. And of course, Vayu takes the event, my friend Ernie. So the past couple weeks since then have really just been a blur, because it's been a tournament almost every weekend for me. And I ran it back with Fish at RBT Rulers, which was again won by Vayu, and I finished 9th. And with such a stacked field, I think I can count that as a top. You know, you tell me. And maybe that's a little bit of a reach. I certainly wasn't happy with that performance, but you know, I did end up doing pretty well, all things considered. Chaos Fairy also weirdly topped, which was kind of interesting. I brought my take on Diva Hero to the EWCQ on Format Library. So you probably already saw that video because that was just a couple weeks ago. But I know at least one person has seen success with that list, with the Max Upstart Goblin, Max Windblast. Shout out to Ty, who I met in North Carolina. And Vayu won this tournament, which was kind of the beginning of the end for me. I was tired of losing to Vayu. Also, the two decks that got first and second were like one card off from each other. So I switched to Vayu for the BBG 5K that I went to a couple weeks ago. And it was a slightly different list than I played in the past. I kind of like combined the best of the new and the old. And, you know, I know people have been saying they've done well with that list as well in the recent weeks, and I do feel like it's a pretty refined version. So I went undefeated in Swiss, which was kind of awesome, but I did lose in top 8. But again, even though I kind of lost in top 8, like it still felt like the Fish tournament, you know, I was able to, the Ultimate Time Wizard, was able to fly to a tournament and kind of prove that I had what it takes to compete with the best of any region. And I know I'm really skilled at Edison, and just like, you know, being able to actually show and prove that, not just be an online warrior guy, is pretty important to me. Final tournament was just a week or two ago. I played a PS5 tournament. I was again undefeated in Swiss, although I had a draw. And I lost in top 8 to Amaryllis. Same guy, Nick Trudden. And somehow Amaryllis was in the finals as a mirror as well. So Amaryllis finishing this year super strong. And now to culminate the year, I have one more tournament to play at Gamer's Choice in New York City for an Ultimate Caius. So basically another PS5 tournament, whatever you want to call it. And hopefully I can continue my streak of at least topping. But yeah, I mean, stuff to watch out for in 2024. The same weekend as this double Amaryllis finals, I know a new Dark Gaia deck did well as decks like Jinzo Returner and other Machina variants. Just goes to show that there is still a lot of room outside of like Blackwing, Vayu, Frog, Hero. Even though, that being said, I do feel like the Vayu builds are just proving to be like more and more dominant, more and more refined. And I think like optimizing for the Vayu mirror is going to get pretty interesting in the coming months. All in all, I think I had a spectacular year by my own standards and by kind of anyone's standards. I had a pretty ridiculous top rate, but you know, I'm also hungry for more wins. Like if I had to set a goal for myself, at least as a player, it would just to be not get complacent with just a top cut finish. I know sometimes like you do really well in Swiss or whatever, then you kind of let your foot up off the gas when you really need to hammer to the floor and take it home from there. But I know I'm, you know, kind of proving myself to be one of the top Edison players, so I just have to keep proving it, you know, and maybe stop being so cute with some meme off-kilter decks could probably be to my benefit as well, even though we're never going to stop with that, of course. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoy doing this channel, and just as a way to document, you know, these events and deck building processes for me so I can look back on them and hopefully you guys can learn from them. I really appreciate everyone who watches, comments, likes, subscribes, like in any way finds this interesting or engaging. It's really a blessing. And I really want to do some more ambitious content in the new year. Maybe more detailed stuff, documenting competitive history, as well as maybe some more tournaments, both hosting and attending. I do want to attend more of the Ultimate Time Wizard stuff too, but it feels like the sky's the limit with Edison right now, and I'm happy to be on this journey with all you. And with that being said, you know, Happy New Year. I look forward to dueling with you all in 2024, and peace.